Whatever happened to that troop of eager imbeciles we sent?
Pay the big cheese on your block with a whale of the good stuff.
Omnes autem mali demonis quam. What? What is this? Who are you to interrupt my musings? By Naga the Protector, they have the manners of boors, these boatmen of Sicil. Oh, but perhaps I spoke too soon. Perhaps I was mistaken. For you hardly resemble the local fisherfolk, which, incidentally, is a compliment of copious dimensions indeed. No. A source hunter, that is what you are. Yes, a stalker of sorcery, a chaser of charms pernicious. In truth, I cannot go so far as to say it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance, for I take no pleasure in the company of man. But it may just be to our mutual advantage to join forces nonetheless. I would tell you my reasons, but it seems rather pointless to do so, seeing that quite clearly there is no room left in your band of adventurers for an additional champion. A pity, really. No, this isn't the grimoire I'm looking for.
Volume 2.
Is there no new book to be discovered in this library?
In the name of Amun-Hor, I bid thee Tujda Geta Hal. Be welcome, human. My library is yours, as I hope your friendship is mine.
Something more advanced.
I am Victoria, daughter of Mayor Cecil. Oh, I know what you're thinking. The likeness isn't exactly striking, is it? When I was very young, you see, I must have been cast out by my tribe, for I was found in a wicker basket floating past Sicil toward the sea.
For dumbbells.
The fisherman who found me would have drowned me on the spot, for I am an orc after all. But praise be Amun-Hor, dear Cecil was among the gathered crowd, and he took pity on the exiled infant that chance had put in his way. He raised me like I was his own, this kindest of souls, taught me the language of men, their customs and their letters. Thus, I became the city's librarian, a position I uphold with no small diligence and pride. Indeed you may. The wisdom I here hold is yours to peruse and even take with you. All I can ask is that you return the books you borrow so that others may enjoy them too.
Edition 2. Most promising.
Kajdanor. Brief history of sorcery still hasn't been returned. Celeron will have to pay yet another fine.
The Lesser Key of Sarakandras. What nonsense. Is there no new book to be discovered in this library? Demonology for dumbbells.
Still hasn't been returned.
I need something more advanced.
Will have to pay yet another fine.
The Encyclopedia Demonium. I know it by heart.
Kajdanor. A brief history of sorcery still hasn't been returned. Celeron will have to pay yet another fine.
Demonology for dumbbells.
If only the popular girls from the Source Academy could see how edgy and dangerous you've become.
In this library?
Bah! Volume 1, Volume 2...
If only the popular girls from the Source Academy could see how edgy and dangerous you've become.
Sometimes I think these books sprout little legs in the night.
The Encyclopedia Demonium. I know it by heart.
The knight in see-through armor.
What? Oh, hello again. Please tell me how I can help you during your investigations. I know your plate is full enough to fill you for days. What? Oh, you mean Sicil? Very difficult times indeed. As though the death of Jake, and by source magic no less, weren't enough. We're also facing all sorts of brutish intruders. The undead have overrun all but one northern trade route, while the orcs are making a habit of savaging our beaches. That's not to mention that at the top of this whole caboodle, there's rumors of some new religious sect or cult or some such sticking its tendrils into the innocent, seven-fearing folks of Sicil. And, while we're on the subject of troubles, I myself have a private matter I'd like to bring to your attention. It involves a magic relic I rather foolishly sought. A weapon called the Staff of Pergamon. Jake murdered? Oh, yes. Yes, now I recall. Indeed. I could hardly believe it myself. The Council and I have certainly had our differences over the years, but old squabbles evaporate under such circumstances. Most of the townsfolk are certain Jake's wife Esmeralda is responsible. In fact, the Legion have taken her into protective custody to keep her safe from the mob. As you can imagine, I've known Esmeralda for years. That business between her and the Duke of Ferrol was always a bit, suggestive. But I've never had cause to suspect her of violence. Still, one never knows for sure. An all-right bloke, apart from all this Esmeralda nonsense. The whole town knows the only goal of his business trips to Sicil is to spend a night or two at the King Crab Inn with Mrs. Counselor. What of what now? Oh, you're speaking gibberish. Ah, you mean the Staff of Pergamon. Yes, yes. I was expecting a shipment of weapons, and among the cargo was this very powerful, very rare staff. I managed to place the order through means somewhat, atypical to a government official. Cecil proved an old fool, though. For the merchant slated to deliver it to me has just informed me that the damn thing has gone missing. I fear it may have fallen into the wrong hands, and I wonder if you could retrieve it for me.
Greetings, Source Hunter. I don't mean to hinder your investigation, but I can't open this door for anyone who hasn't received Captain Aureus' explicit approval. Stop right there. Until you've received the Captain's permission to enter, this door doesn't exist. Got it? Stop right there.
Come on! Come on! Can't you hear the stage calling you?
Can you spare a coin?
Come on! Come on! Can't you hear the stage calling you?
Ah, cruel fortune. 1 coin or 2, noble spirit? 1 coin or 2? May the soul of Astarte smile upon you, kind stranger. Thank you, kind one. Oh, I am a happy man, and certainly a humble one now. It turns out losing it all has its own share of benefits. Ah, a fool once was I, and ever seeking greater satisfaction than that which I already enjoyed. In my folly, I sought the counsel of those notorious Watcher statues on the western cliffs. Their guidance ruined any small fortune I might have had, but certainly granted me humility. I'd heard they were not to be trusted, that they gave fools advice to the fools who sought them, but somehow I believed that I was the exception. They told me that I would find fame and renown if I renounced my worldly possessions, all my worldly possessions, and became a great figure of piety and humility. Fire, the most thorough cleanser, was my method. But as my house burned in front of me, I felt no elevation, no piety, only the sudden weight of my own idiocy upon my very soul.
So, those statues told him he'd have to renounce his earthly possessions to become a spiritual leader, did they? Right. I'm not going to throw my things on a pyre in the hope that the stench of my burning trousers will please an ill-defined spirit.
Cruel fortune. May the 7 bless you, most generous friend. May the 7 bless you, most generous friend. Oh, I am a happy man, and...
I've spotted something interesting. Soothing a corpse's troubled mind, but if one were to reduce the quantity of skull dust by a percentage of 2, perhaps the stability could be increased by as much as 3-fold.
Oh, a source hunter. Imagine that. Quite a bit more petite than the last of your kind I encountered, aren't you? Yes, by nearly 20 centimeters of tibia, as my memory serves. But, no matter. Even if it couldn't spare its heartier specimen, I'm sure the Order sent the individual with the next highest probability of success. Certainly, what would you like to know? The Councillor, terrible loss that. Though we were hardly more than acquaintances, I knew him to be a devoted civil servant. From what I can tell, it seems to be a simple case of jealousy turned violent. The affairs of his wife, Esmeralda, were hardly a secret, you know. I've applied myself to that problem for 2 years and still haven't come a step closer to solving it. I declare it an act of the Almighty's, if I believed in such things.
Some events, Source Hunter, can be neither controlled nor understood by mere men.
His very existence? Excuse me? This is a private sick room. Who in the name of the Seven do you think you are barging in here? Out, I say, right this instant. Oh, I'm sorry. It's this task. I'm just... Who am I to meddle with life and death this way? I'm an apprentice of the healing arts. Healing! But this decision feels like precisely the opposite. I have but one healing stone, you see, and 2 direly wounded men who need it. I've been racking my brain trying to decide on the best method to settle this grave situation, but perhaps it's better off in the hands of an esteemed source hunter. Surely you are more accustomed to weighing life and death than I. What would you like to know? One of the brave few willing to traverse the trade routes plagued by the undead. A young man, but excellent in matters of business, before he fell victim to an orcish club in the north, that is. Thankfully for him, a cattle trader found him, nearly dead, but not quite so, and brought him here straight away. Quite the venerable staple of Sicile, Stephen, and recently blessed with his 3rd grandchild. He was leading a crew of builders when a stray beam struck him in the temple, and only a few days shy of his last day of work before retirement, no less. Nearly everyone in Sicile is familiar with Grinning Stephen, and, as you can imagine, he's quite dear to his family. You are? I thank you a million times for your help. Who have you decided should receive the healing stone?
Yes. Boris deserves to experience all the pleasures of life that Stephen has already enjoyed.
Boris it is? Yes. I'll deliver the stone. I'm glad we'll get to save one man. My heart breaks for the other.
Gotten far.
No, this is highly abnormal. What is this? This lightning!
What happened? Is this a dream?
I don't think so. That stone, somehow it sent us flying into the stars.
Terrible, terrible, terrible! By the quill that lasts a billion words, what's this? 2 Rivalonians here? At the end of space and time? How very, very, very curious. Oh, yes. Proper introductions. Zixex, the historian at your service. It is my job to record all that was, and is, and hopefully all that is to be. As for how I got here, well, for a historian appointed by the gods themselves, hopping to the end of time is as easy as 1, 2, 3. How you got here, though, that's a rather more interesting question. On such a tiny and rapidly shrinking vestige of space and time, I wouldn't have expected to find a soul but my own shadow. At last, a question I can answer most definitively. I mentioned already that this place is the end of time. If that didn't send your heart into your stomach and your pulse a-flutter, it should have. Time ought naturally to have no end at all. Indeed, I can think of no worse nightmare for a chronicler such as myself. But something totally, utterly terrible has happened. Show, don't tell, I always say. So go, peer through yonder looking lens, and feast your soon-to-be terrified eyes on the darkness that is approaching.
You know, I think that imp may be quite mad.
Then we had better appease him and have a look through the looking lens.
You saw? Terrifying, isn't... What's this? The portal! It's... The portal has become active!
Another one for the collection.
Astounding! Onward we should go. The portal! It's quite sprung to life, just like the long, dormant flames that decorate this observatory. After all my waiting and hoping, could it be? You, dear stranger, you must be the key. Something about your presence here is causing the end of time to grow. The true end itself to move further away. Those torches, a light! This portal active once more! It cannot be coincidence. Goodness me, how right you are. There's so much to take in, I'd nearly forgotten. And what you saw has been haunting my mind since I first discovered it. It is the void itself. The dragon that is devouring creation. When I speak of the end of time, this is exactly what I mean. I can't say for sure where it came from, how or why, but I do know this. It's shrinking our future by the second. And if we don't stop it, it will devour the past and present as well. It's not that I believe, it's that I have seen. Long have I been waiting here, hoping that one day this very portal would ignite. Then, no longer than a few mere moments after you arrive, zap it goes. The chronicler of time knows a pattern when he sees one. Ah, though I cannot say for certain, if it is what I believe, then our prayers might well be answered. In fact, every last question that ever plagues your noggin might well be answered, for I believe what lies beyond this portal is nothing other than... But why spoil the mystery? As soon as we leap through, we'll find out for certain. After you, after you. Oh, what wonders we may find on the other side. You first, you first. Yes, just as I hoped. There she is. There it is. Come, don't delay.
And he's off.
It seems the imp has spotted exactly who and what he'd hoped to find here.
Could it?
Indeed, Sir Imp. As surely as you are he who chronicles all that I weave.
Astounding! Unbelievable! I have so many questions for you, so much to ask, so much to say.
You have brought guests, I see. Strange. Very strange guests.
My reaction exactly, milady. It was their arrival here at the end of time that instigated my finding you. But why? Surely you must know.
This is a question better put to our guests themselves. Tell us, how did you arrive upon this plane? If any other being in Rivellon asked me about the details of their comings and goings, I could describe them down to the minutest of details. But you are different. Of you, I see nothing. I know nothing. So please, do tell me, how did you arrive here? A stone. So, it was a stone that caused the great shock of energy that brought you here, and it infused you with new life as well. Is that so? Not like this, no. What happened to you is unique in all my work. Never had I experienced something so contrary to my nature. To weave something I had not seen, had not expected. Life does not simply spring into existence, you see, but yours has. You appeared before me from the moment you came into contact with that stone. Starstone. I now know it to be called.
But, Madam Weaver, how is it possible? Do you not see all? Have you not woven all that is and could ever be into your tapestry?
Like the stones, your guests are a mystery to me. I see them before me in this world, but their likenesses appeared not upon my tapestry until they revived the stone. Source Hunters, it would seem that yourselves and Starstone are inextricably linked. Why and how, I cannot say, but I do believe that finding more stones will reveal to me who you yourselves truly are. Starstone is not what it seems, Source Hunter. Its true nature must be part of a greater secret. A secret lost, even to me. Do you see what violence my work has suffered? What wounds lay upon the tapestry of time?
Mysteries of all time, gaps in history. Oh, how they've tormented me for eons.
It would appear that Starstone transforms at your touch, granting me new thread by which to mend the tapestry. Thus, it restores time itself.
I see. What the void would shrink, Starstone restores.
Yes. Though I cannot explain why this Starstone is the antidote to the void's ravishment of our realm. If we do not restore time, if we do not discover the true nature of these stones, the void will consume us all. Indeed you must, though I may not yet understand why. It seems that you and you alone can unlock the powers within Starstone. Yet we are not the only entities who know these stones to be so much more than pretty gems.
Why, of course, that's what they were doing. I have recorded their doings, you see. Collectors of Starstone, more and more by the day. Now I understand. They'd keep the stones from our reach. They'd prevent the mending of time.
Without these stones, Hunter, there will be no Rivellon. The entire tapestry will crumble. Even this plane will fall victim to the void's insatiable hunger.
That shall never be, milady. As sure as Zix comes before Zax, we will put a stop to it. First we mend the tapestry, then we stop the void. Please, our most mysterious guest, are you ready? Are you willing? Will you hunt out the stones? Will you help us restore what has been lost?
Not a moment moment ago, we were hunting Source in Riverlong, and now we're being told that we alone can prevent the end of time by way of some magical stones. What do you make of it?
So, what do you think?
No matter how improbable, anything is possible. If the Weaver tells the truth, we have some serious work ahead of us.
Do tell. The glint in your gaze and the set of your brow suggest to me that you've not given up on our dear old Rivelon. Not just yet. No, with you searching out Starstone, I believe we'll mend the tapestry in no time. We'll find out just who you are and how exactly to send the void back to wherever it came from. But you'll need a way to travel between Rivelon and this homestead, won't you? Who wouldn't want to see what fantastic changes your search will yield? And who knows what the Weaver might discover about you? Luckily, the power of portals is known to you, so I'll let you in on the little secret of how to transport back and forth from the end of time. Just, don't go sharing it around. Never know who we can trust these days. Off you go, then. You've Starstone to find, and I've a tapestry to examine. Surely there must be some clue here as to how on earth you're related to the end of time. Before you go, Source Hunter, a final word. Once you return to Rivelon, there will be someone waiting for you. My agent, my eyes and ears upon your world. I hope he'll be able to help you as much as he can. Time, I need hardly remind you, is of the essence.
And the last test, the last test, the last test! If you believe yourself worthy of rifling through my ample treasures, I do dare you to prove it! Find my 4 sisters, no more than one in each of the realms of your wide world, and each by each, you'll discover how to open me!
At its heart? Why, nothing, of course. The great absence of all that even the gods cannot comprehend. It eludes us, like infinity, or the finality of tick-tocking time.
writings that record all of history parallel to one another?
That is a good question, Zigzags. One without... How welcome you are upon this realm, our most... In the ethereal threads of eternity, do I record the deeds of gods and men, of beasts and spectral apparitions, the drift of continents through changing seas, the rise and fall of empires, the shift of every grain of sand on every beach, the fall of every raindrop on every world, the all but imperceptible touch of lovers' hands. This and all I chronicle without fault. Except, it seems, you. Ask, and I shall answer. I am the weaver of time, as I have told you, though my existence is one that falls behind and yet far exceeds the verb to be. I am but what I am, and that is task. It is the same for the historian. Chroniclers both are we of the epics of eternity. Perhaps we are one and the same. Task multiplied by 2. Who has made us? I do not know. Why have they done so? I do not know. Am I the beginning? And am I to be the end? Who shall say? Perhaps I am the first thing in creation. Perhaps I am creation. Perhaps I am the creator. Or maybe it is you. You who makes dying stars rekindle. Time alone will tell. Alas, the answers to those questions still elude me. You and Starstone remain the imperfections upon the tapestry. As yet. A hidden answer lies behind this veil of inscrutability, though. For the link between you and the stones reveals that your destinies are intertwined. I believe that starstones will not lead you to new places of wonder only. No. They will also lead to new knowledge through the restoration of the threads of old. Quite so. Your absence. It should be an impossibility, but no matter where I look, you cannot be found. I do not know you, which makes you my one perennial imperfection, a blind spot in the eye of time. But perchance I may be cured of this blindness. Perchance the blemish may be undone, and time can be redeemed. What it is but a seed bereft of sun and water. What it could be, that is what the starstones will tell us. What it is but the end. What it could be is the end of ends. I reside in another realm altogether. But ever since the end of time appeared in these deep dark skies, I materialized here, as if forced to watch the one thing that is unwatchable, unendurable. A thankless task that you may yet free me from forever. I think that perhaps you can redeem time, because you create time. Indeed, you have set in motion an event I no longer held possible. Know that no longer I did weave. I sat here, at the end of time, and watched on as the void frays the fabric of time like a terrified god, that fears the offspring of his own creations. But suddenly there was you. You who stirred the life within the stones. These stones, children of stars, they place new ribbons along my fingers like phantoms out of time. New threads emerged, and I began to weave anew. Starstone gives me new strands to braid into the tapestry. And because you give Starstone energy, it seems that you are creating time. These Starstones, please, seek them so that time may yet be mended. Please, for the sake of all that lives and all that loves, seek them so that the void may yet devour itself alone.
It shall... Good to see you on the shelter plane. A home away from home, is it not? Like the imp said to the ballista operator, shoot! More than those things per se, but having been given a divine mission does have its perks. Old age can't touch me, that's one. Immortality is mine as long as no one skewers me with a sword, and even then I'll be back in a jiffy. But of course I have a price to pay for something that is priceless. It is my duty to record all of history, and an arduous task that is. Not to mention how much stress that void out there is causing me. The end of time. I'll be out of a job. So, gather those starstones so that we may know the history that was lost. Know so that we must not repeat what leads us to this dangerous precipice, but do better and close the dark eye of the void forever. Wouldn't it just? Would that I had a Starstone sightseeing guide, but alas, such a booklet does not exist. Just like yourselves, Starstones are curiously absent from history, both in my writings and on the tapestry of time. From what I can gather, though, they were once cherished by devious sorcerers whose reign ended long ago. The stones are therefore most likely to be found in the ancient places of this world. Ruins, caves, the lairs of long-forgotten evils. Those are the dens you should frequent. 2 more pieces of advice. Don't go unarmed, and consult with my agent. Neither do I, but the mere fact that activated Starstone has set the Weaver of Time weaving again more than implies that it and the Void Dragon are natural enemies. This in turn more than implies that you are the Void's natural enemy, for it is you who is setting new events in motion. You who is handing the Weaver new threads. And that which she is weaving is more than an ornament to decorate the shelter plane. It is both history and future history. It is all of time. We may not understand the how. Lonesome. Well, yeah, perhaps you can cross my heart.
How might I serve our mission? Ask, and I shall answer, if I can.
Source Hunters, I welcome you once again to the realm of Rivellon after your travels through the chasms of space. Nice to have found a shelter, wouldn't you agree? Where you can come to no harm. I know the imp historian has told you about his agent on Rivellon, and that agent is I. So now that you know of the alliance between me and Sir Zigzags, let us turn to the business at hand. Starstone. And I'll be delighted to give it. Dark webs are being woven around these parts, and it is my firm belief starstones are the flies the sorcerer's spiders are trying to catch. It can therefore hardly be a coincidence that Councillor Jake was a collector of the stones we seek. His foul murder and the plight of dying time must somehow be interconnected. That means the task you have been given remains crucial. Find the assassin that did away with Jake, for you're bound to stumble upon Starstone along the way. While you were being lectured by our friend the historian and the grande dame of time, I snuck into his house and had a look around. The advantage of being a cat, you know. You go where you please with impunity. And sometimes the lady of the house even rewards you with a slice of fresh herring. That's where I saw them in a cabinet. Mere slivers, but specks of starstones nonetheless. They lay there, silent and innocent, though bloody murder may have been committed in their name. Don't we all long for a sanctuary where our worldly troubles can be held at bay? A bed or a basket so snug it becomes, in a word, safety. But perhaps I speak only for myself, not for veterans such as yourselves that by necessity call any patch of ground they rest upon home. Like any cat worth its salt, though, I deeply cherish a secret refuge unbeknownst to anyone. To be able to repose without a care is such a precious circumstance, savored all too seldomly. Let me phrase it like Zigzags might. A universe without time is like a pen without ink, a pointless instrument stripped of the potential of creation. It is void. It is death. It is nothing. I'll not pretend to have all the answers, or that I understand all that is happening here and out there among the stars, but I do know I'd rather err on the side of caution. If Zigzags worries, I worry. We are talking about a creature, after all, that has reclined among the divines as nonchalantly as you and I laze beside the hearths of home. I met him first, a long time ago, out in the wastes of Youthful Gore. He wondered aloud what on earth a cat was doing out there in the scorching din. Who I was, and told me stories about his travels, even shared his great sorrow with me. I was awed. As of now, that includes helping the two of you. Oh, before you go, here, take this teleporter pyramid. You'll need the other one too if you want to make use of its powers, but use this one here and it'll take you straight to its twin. I shall detain you no longer, but rest assured I'll do my share of hunting too. So if you spot a white cat during your travels, do stop to say hello.
It's here somewhere. I wouldn't want to ruin this particular batch of party elixir with too much wormwood. That tone, soothing a corpse's troubled mind, can't have gotten far.
Girls from the Source Academy could see how edgy and dangerous you've become.
No, I know it's here somewhere. I wouldn't want to ruin this particular batch.
Thank you eternally for your help. Though your reaction to the healing stone, I have no idea what to make of it. That strange reaction you caused. Blue lightning from a healing stone. I've never seen anything like it. And the stone looks different now, too. Like it's devoid of life. I begin to wonder if its magical properties survived your little reaction. I've been studying under Theliron for some time now, but that task, being asked to play the gods, was the first time I've ever questioned my, well, suitability for the work. I've a passion for this work, you see. A passion to see things put in order. From a flesh wound healed to an entire city made resistant to a fatal illness. What right has something as trivial as a wound or as senseless as an epidemic to take a human life?
Nothing but rubbish!
Make her worthy of such grave responsibilities. She'll realize soon enough that
The earth here seems to have been freshly fertilized and aerated. Obviously, someone has taken great care to maintain this gravesite. Are you sure you want to disturb it?
That's right. Let's get digging.
As you prepare to break ground, you gaze at the dirt beneath your feet once more.
Right you are. It would have been a terrible misdeed.
You step away from the grave.
Don't disturb Master Theliron now. He's been so busy with his research, the poor dear hasn't had a proper night's sleep in months.
Now, this is valuable. Might need to blow this one open.
Salutations! Source hunters, I see. This is a storing house for Legion supplies. Perhaps the most important building in the realm, by my and others' estimation. And I, Sergeant Courteous, have been trusted to guard it. Courteous is my name. The Legion is my calling.
This place reeks of orc stench.
God, duty's not so bad. Hey!
Would be quite a bit better if I could do it in peace.
Just making conversation. Mate.
Mate, he says. We are colleagues, nothing more.
Come now. It's just a turn of phrase.
Will you please turn your phrases elsewhere?
Damn Fade shall liberate the flesh from our faces.
Come now. Enough doom and gloom. Cast your gaze instead upon my fair, fanged filly.
Ah, who better than a proven orc crusher to convince my dumbbell of a friend here that orcs are predators, not pets?
Enough of that. I know how dangerous an orc can be, but this one has been reformed. Anyone can see that she's completely docile, but my prejudiced friend here still wants to kill her. My friend here and I were patrolling outside the city walls, when who did I see creeping along the shore but this lovely orcish lady? For a brief second, as long as eternity, we locked eyes. Perhaps confused by the butterflies in her stomach, she sprang up and began running, claws bared towards Marius. Fortunately for him, I had the presence of mind to ignore my sword and instead adroitly fling my pouch of trinkets towards her. A vial of love potion shattered over her head, and when she turned to face me, she became instantly enamored. I'm sure she must have been compelled to join the Orcish army under some kind of duress. A lady with such a sweetly savage manner would never willingly join up with those vicious marauders.
Ha! I can assure you there wasn't a hint of sweetness in those murderous eyes when she lunged at my throat. She may be confined here for now, but who's telling when she'll escape and who she'll rip to shreds?
I've always had an amateur interest in all things alchemical. When I read in an esteemed periodical from the Wizards of Youthful Gore about an amazing opportunity that could change my life, I had to act fast or lose the once-in-a-lifetime deal. I sent away for the world-famous love potion, available for a limited time only, and it has worked exactly as promised.
You see what a fool my friend has been, spending all his cash on snake oil and bringing a temporarily tranquilized monster into our midst to boot.
What kind of monster would lie in a published advertisement? I'm sure the effects of the potion will be everlasting, as printed.
You see, he'd believe it was noon at midnight if he read it on a printed pamphlet. Please tell me you can reason with him, or ditch reason and use your sword to save him from his murderous darling.
Agreed. I've never met an orc I trusted, charmed or not.
Glad to hear I'm not the only one with common sense around here. I'll do the honors myself.
No! She's harmless! Please! You bastard! You had no right!
No right to protect not only you from your own stupidity, but myself and the citizens of Seal as well.
It's you we need protection from, murderer. Fortunately, the Wizards of Youthful Gore make a revenge elixir that will show you what's what.
Go ahead and throw your sugar water on me if you like. Your foolishness is no longer my problem. Thank you, stranger. If you ever need help, I'll do my best to repay you.
Plenty of fish in the sea, but I've got the foulest of the lot on my racks.
My word!
Ah, cruel fortune.
Recruits! That was sloppier than Sicilian stew. Again!
Come on with the dramatics. It's not as bad as all that.
The face, Furious! She bit me in the face!
Look on the bright side. Everyone knows the ugly soldiers are the most ferocious.
Ugly will be the least of it. The beast looks rabid.
Sorry, sir.
In that case, you'll have the pleasure of putting her down yourself.
You think that's
I was
funny,
for you to
Private?
try it, screech woman.
Sir, not sir.
So you've half agreed.
What have we here, then? The so-called gods above! Some politician snuffs it and everyone's in an uproar. But nevertheless, the scene of the crime is over at the King Crab Inn. You can tell the guard you have my permission to enter. Now off with you! Esmeralda is Jake's wife. Well, what? You're going to stand there and claim that so you found a blooded knife in Esmeralda's cellar. Guess you can scratch the top candidate off your list of cliched clues, then. Not exactly enough to arrest her for, is it? How to plan the perfect murder. Really? Really? She might as well wear a dress with the words, "I killed Jake and I liked it," embroidered on it. But that alone wouldn't suffice to convince me. So convince me, Hunter, and keep looking. I see. You've come to report a dead sheep. A heap of mutton that sailed into view upon your robbing the grave of a councillor. Lovely. Well, don't just stand there gawking like guppies. Hire yourself to Roberts the mortician. If anyone buried a sheep, obviously it was him.
Mall, I'll be disfigured for life.
Come on with the dramatics. It's not as bad as all that.
The face furious. She bit me in the face.
Look on the bright side.
Thank the Seven, we've secured the perimeter.
Whatever happened to that?
The finest veggies size seals ever seen. Ain't straight, ain't true.
Made a big cheese on your book with a wheel.
So you're just hanging around again, are you? Waiting for what?
I'll thank you to leave me be.
Tell me, have you ever had the business challenging the fabled wizard of hunting eggs?
Striking it rich!
So, what's the bad news? More sad story, that. Though if I'm speaking plainly, the sentimental aspect of it all doesn't make much of an impression on an undertaker. Especially not these days, with so many laid low by the orcs and such like. I just concern myself with giving the remains a respectable exit from life. We set him to rest in the northern graveyard. Perhaps he can finally get a little peace. A sheep? That's a whole heap of nonsense. Don't bother me with such wild tales. I suppose you're right. A corpse is one thing, but I couldn't stand to have the disappearance of a living soul on my conscience. Come, I'll tell you the whole story. I buried that blasted sheep, but I swear on my lucky left foot I had nothing to do with that body disappearing. 1 minute it was on my slab, you see. I left the room for just a moment to answer the bell in the front parlour, and when I returned, the body was simply gone. In its place was a sack containing more gold coins than I could even count. The message was clear. Silence is golden. My business has been declining right alongside the rest of our blighted city. And that sack of gold was worth more than I made during one of the good years. I needed cash, and someone needed my silence. I knew I had to bury something or risk being found out. So that night, I stole into the market and made off with Bertia's fattest sheep. It was a bloody waste to stick so much fine meat into the ground to rot, but it had to be done. The next day, the pallbearers retrieved Jake's coffin, sealed to hide the body's terrible wounds, none the wiser that within the casket lay nothing more venerable than a slaughtered beast. Now, you can imagine I've spent more than my share of restless nights wondering who could have wanted that cadaver and for what purpose. I'm not an inch closer to imagining the why, but I've got a few inklings as to the who. Near as I can reckon, there are only 4 people who could have been involved. Mayor Cecil, Captain Aureus, Theleron's apprentice Evelyn, and Esmeralda. Plenty of us shopkeepers entrust the mayor with the spare keys to our businesses, you know. And he's the only person in town with a second copy of the key to the mortuary. He could have used it to sidle in without a peep, if he were so inclined. Aureus himself paid me a visit the night the body was delivered. Came rapping at my door in the frosty morning, before the sun had even started peeping, and told me to tell him, and only him, if I noticed anything strange or suspicious about the remains. Can't see why he'd bothered to go through all that trouble, unless he knew something the rest of us don't. I know it sounds strange suspecting the doctor's apprentice of something so ghoulish as this, but there's few in this city could manage to transport a corpse without raising eyebrows. It was she who delivered Jake's body from the inn to the mortuary, and there was something about her that night, some kind of excitement. Seemed she could barely contain her thoughts, that there was something thrilling about to happen. I can't quite settle it in my mind how a young medical professional would have such a strange reaction to an occasion such as that. And this may or may not have anything to do with the whole rigmarole. But her master, Dr. Theleron, bought an old shack of mine, one overtaken by undead, for an exorbitant price considering what he was getting. I never did figure what he wanted it for, but he sure seemed eager. I never saw a widow less distraught at the death of her husband, and I've seen hundreds pass through my parlor. It was she who rang my bell just before the body was snatched. Lured me outside, claiming she needed air, before discussing the funeral arrangements. Some accomplice could have sneaked in and grabbed the remains while I was comforting the oh-so-overcome Esmeralda. That gold's the only good thing to come out of this blasted affair, and I certainly plan on making some use of it. Well, with all the troubles plaguing Sicil, I suppose us natives ought to put our finest feet forward. Here, take the gold, and give it to someone who actually deserves it. So, what's the bad news? More orcs rampaging through the docks? Or have those infernal statues sent another soul flying to his death? Hey, stop that! So, what's the bad news? More orcs rampaging through the docks? Or have those infernal statues sent another soul flying to his death?
That doesn't belong to us, you know. Well put. Hunting out source is no easy job, and we need all the help we can get our sticky fingers on.
What do you think you're doing? Stop that!
Seven have mercy on your soul! Another innocent has fallen. True. During times as dangerous as these, all civilians are guilty until proven otherwise. Fair game, I say.
Have you ever had thoughts of challenging the fabled wizard of hunting?
On the mend!
the seven. I am restored.
Careful now. Your head's going more swirling and saffron.
I smell rotten lamb chops. Where are you, Jake? Are you playing without me?
Look here, even a sage and author as renowned as I is flattered when mortals dare among the dead to seek him out. Well, here I am, Nemeris the Wise. You may go wide-eyed with amazement now. As if I need introduction. Nemeris the Thinker, the Theorist, the Visionary. Come now, surely you lack the time, as I do, for such silly questions. Oh, I've written so many celebrated treatises, but of course you have read and revered the philosophy of death, the diamond in the crown that is my literary legacy. There isn't a civilized soul alive that hasn't perused its profound pages percolating with perspicacity. Alas, that so few show an understanding of my words, so few show the expected intellectual growth when I put them to the test.
Where are you, Jake? Are you playing without me?
You can, and indeed you must. But alas, I was not buried with a printed version of that blueprint of genius that is my inimitably esteemed essay. Never fear, though, for each and every library in Revellon boasts a copy, the gilded cherry on their paper pie. Do you truly feel you are ready to prove that you have read and understood the philosophy of death? Your refusal speaks greater volumes than my 10-part tome on the mating behavior of feral dwarves. You dread the test. You fear it.
concerns myself with such things.
You'll be concerned enough when you realize that reward money won't be lying in your pocket.
Into the fray once more. Back on my feet again.
Bless the seven, I am restored.
Sightseeing isn't so bad on a quiet day like this, is it?
Not in the mood for cheese. That excuse is more holes than a slice of this fine almond man.
Fortune! Ah! He should be so lucky as to be defeated by Alistair the Great!
Oh, my good man. Drink, you please.
Please do. Stop right there. Until you've received the captain. Not exactly the friendliest bloke, the captain, is he?
It's official. The Duke of Ferrol is the worst poet in Rivellon.
In his defense, not much rhymes with murder. In play here, all right. But that doesn't solve the mystery.
Nothing for it, but to keep looking for more clues.
You'll be concerned enough when you realize that reward money